the second segment where I go ahead and talk about the Celtics completely destroying the Warriors. Like, destroying. They took this game incredibly personal. Like, I guarantee you, the Celtics, they had this game sketched on their calendar, marked with triple X's. Anything that could give them motivation, they had it this game. Because, obviously, like, the city of Boston, they really do not like Golden State. They don't like Ayesha Curry. They don't like Steph Curry because they lost to them in the finals in 2022, I believe. And it was obviously like it wasn't a bad loss in the finals, but Tatum did not play as well as he was expected of him, at least according to the media. I actually think he played relatively decent, given how it was his first finals appearance. Like, a lot of people are really difficult on Tatum because he's a Kobe fan, and Kobe did not play well in his first final series. He won, but he didn't play well in it. That was mainly Shaq. That is the 2000 was the 1 year where, and I'm a Kobe fan, where Shaq legitimately carried Kobe in his championship run. Like, Kobe did not play well. He shot very inefficiently. He didn't even average 20 points. But Jason Tatum, on the other hand, he did average 22 points. So they were very, very harsh on Tatum simply because he's a Kobe fan and he's like really looking up to Kobe. And they're like, Kobe wouldn't stand for that. Well, Kobe did not play well in his first finals series. And obviously, even though he didn't play well, the team was still very bitter about losing to the Golden State Warriors, and who wouldn't be bitter? And they took this game ridiculously personal. I was shocked at how the Celtics played the Warriors in this game. It was the largest halftime lead in Boston Celtics history, and it really shows the problem with this Golden State team. It really didn't seem like they were taking the Boston Celtics seriously for some reason, because the Celtics are the best team in the NBA right now. How can you not take them seriously? This was also the largest loss of Stephen Curry's career, which honestly says a lot, and it really goes to show you the amount of help that Steph Curry has had in his career playing with all these stars. But I digress. And again, another fun fact, the Boston Celtics, they actually own 3 games. With this game, they now have 3 games in the top 5 for the biggest margin of victory. So I'll give you an example. Oklahoma City versus Portland, that was the biggest margin of victory in terms of points, by 62. And then Philadelphia going up against Charlotte, that was the second largest with 53. The Boston Celtics own the next 3 games with 52, 51, and 50-point blowouts respectively in this league. Now, these Celtics are ridiculously dominant. They are insane this year. And part of that is with the all-star starting lineup that they have. Obviously the starting lineup isn't full of all-stars, but they are full of either former all-stars or really, really good players. I mean, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, obviously those are the main 2 of that team, and the 2 best players of the team. They're that 1-2 punch. But now you also have Jrue Holiday, who, if you don't remember his time on the Pelicans or his time with the Bucks, Jrue Holiday already won a championship with the Milwaukee Bucks. Not to mention the fact that he is a great defender at the point guard and also relatively decent on the offensive side of the ball as well. And being surrounded by players like Tatum and Jaylen Brown who can help create shots for you, he's not asked to really do much as he was asked to do on the Bucks. So this is a great situation for him and a great scenario for him. Derek White, he's turning into a star. There was a stretch where he was averaging 20 points per game, and we already know how good of a defender Derek White is. So that's another thing that really strikes me with the Boston Celtics. They have a very strong starting lineup, and they're dominant on both the offense and the defensive side of the ball, which makes them the best team in the Eastern Conference by far, because their defense is elite and their offense is also elite. Not to mention Kristaps also being in the starting lineup as well. given his length and how tall he is, and the fact that he could shoot the ball, like, it just gives the Boston Celtics so much more options than any other team in this league. And one thing I want to talk about is the Warriors' game plan going into this game. Now, Draymond Green, I'm just going to pull up the quote real quick. He said that they implemented their defensive strategy 15 minutes before they left the locker room. Now, I put implement and defensive strategy in air quotes because their strategy was to not play defense on Jaylen Brown. I know it sounds completely crazy, like out of their mind, completely crazy, to just leave Jaylen Brown open, but that was the game plan going into this game. And I'm like, what? Your game plan going into this game was to leave Jaylen Brown open? Like, I understand, sure, Jaylen Brown, like, he might not have a left hand, but that doesn't mean he can't shoot the ball. Like, what? He shoots 50% from the field and 36% from three. That is not someone to leave open. Like, and he torched them. Literally to open the gate out. He completely torched them. Like, what did they think? They think he wasn't going to shoot the open three? If you watch that game, you guys should have seen that game. If you watch that game, it was like practice shots for Jaylen Brown. That's how wide open they were. They were giving him Westbrook and Ben Simmons treatment. And you do not do that to someone who is a 36% three-point shooter and a 50% shooter from the field. You don't do that. And it boggles my mind to think that was the defensive strategy that Steve Kerr came up with going into this game. Leave Jaylen Brown open. Like, are you serious? The second best player on the team, you're going to leave open from three? Are you kidding me? I genuinely, I have no explanation for this defensive strategy. Zero explanation whatsoever. Because Jaylen can shoot, and it's like, what, did you not remember? And like, it's odd because Jaylen Brown, like, he played very well in the finals series against Golden State, and that's the impression that they picked up from Jaylen Brown, that he couldn't shoot and that, like, he was scared to shoot. Like, what? And it was a very disappointing game for the Golden State Warriors. And while the defense on Jaylen Brown was terrible, the defense on Stephen Curry was smothering. They refused to leave that man open, and they refused to give him a good shot. I believe he started like 0 for 10 in the first half going into this game. And obviously when you're Steph Curry and you are a shooter like that, that is not ideal. That is just not an ideal position that you want to put your team in. Like, and the defense on him was that great. And it's like the fact that they're putting much more effort on the defensive end than the Golden State Warriors are, it's like, where is your head at? It really shows like who took this game seriously. And Jaylen Brown actually, like, he had a funny quote after this game. He was like, a lot of people should implement this defensive strategy because obviously, like, he wanted to get more open shots. I think that was the most open shots that Jaylen Brown has had in this entire season. And again, like, I have no explanation for why they just left him open like he was Ben Simmons or Russell Westbrook. Like, I genuinely don't know. And like, again, like, going off of like Golden State, like, Golden State was just coming off of like a very good winning streak. Like, they were 11-3, I believe, before this game going up against the Boston Celtics. And I feel like this game, it might have brought them down to earth, but if this is the defensive strategy that they're going to implement against other teams, and if this is where their head's at, I really don't see this team making it far in the playoffs whatsoever. I do not see them making it far in the playoffs because it just doesn't make any sense. Now, given how the Boston Celtics have been this dominant for a very long time, I think that they have the best chance of making it all the way to the finals, and it's going to be very, very disappointing for them if they don't make it to the finals and if they don't win. in the finals. Like, the window of opportunity for Boston could not be any bigger right now. And I really don't think that there's any team that could compete with them other than the Milwaukee Bucks if they get their situations right with Doc Rivers. Because as a Nets fan, Giannis scares me. Like, he scares me. Every single time he goes to the basket, he scares me. And he's built sort of that. A lot of people don't really think Giannis is clutch, but I personally think he's clutch because when he was on that finals run, he was giving them great performances and great games when it really mattered. And that's what really scares me because he plays his best basketball when the games really matter, it seems like it. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to somehow beat the Boston Celtics because, not to mention, like, now that he has Dame, another offensive weapon, the fact that he's so dominant in the paint, it demands a double team, like, almost every single time, which thus leaves open shooters, which allows Giannis' job to be a lot easier on the offensive side of the ball. However, the Boston Celtics and their defense is very, very good, and they're very good with rotations. This is a team that has been built from the ground up with Jason Tatum and with drafting and all of these players signing, and it's a great fit signing Kristaps, obviously. And with all of this in mind, the chemistry and the fact that they've all been playing with each other for so long is going to be the difference maker in a series against the Milwaukee Bucks. Because, again, they're still trying to figure it out with Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo, as well as Doc Rivers. And the fact that Doc Rivers is their head coach just gives the Boston Celtics an edge by default, because Doc Rivers and his history in the playoffs is not that ideal. But with that, we're out of time for the second segment. Now, we are going to go into the third segment where I give a quick recap of all of the important games that happened last night and the rest of this weekend. So stay tuned for that after this short break.